Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Mike's Mini Motors. So I'm going to try an experiment on this guy here. You may have watched my video that was released a little while ago of me ripping around in the snow in this thing, and that was actually a blast. I had so much fun doing that I've been seeing like other people online modify. The Great Heart Plumbing Company guys just did a little pit bike thing that they got off of Amazon. They made it into a snow bike. So, actually today went and picked this up. Ski off a Snowcat, I don't even know what's off of it. Just went down to a local Snowcat repair shop and they sold it to me cheap because it was just a single ski that they couldn't really do much with. So, picked that up and I'm going to try to put it here in the front. See if you guys see that. It's a bit long right now, so it's going to need to get cut down, and I'm going to have to cut the bracket down here and move it forward. But one thing that I didn't want to like modify the front forks of this guy. And then I remembered when I bought this bike, it was wrecked. The previous owner had hit a rock going like full speed, and the forks were just bent back and cracked and stuff. So I had saved the metal and I actually took the tubes off and I used them on other projects. But I still have the triple tree clamp part area. So what I'm going to do is mock up all this ski stuff onto here so that I actually have like a whole front end that I can swap in and out. And then, yeah, once we get the ski on there, I can test drive it again and see if it gets around better. Because it seemed like the front tire was what was skidding around mostly. Or not mostly, but when it was uncontrollable. So let's see if this can help out, and then if it does, and I want to keep improving, I'll see what I can do in the rear here. Not sure what I'll do yet, but yeah, anyways, let's go ahead and I think for this project, I'm going to put this thing up on the welding table to work on it, and we can start modifying the ski. So let's get this up there. Alright, so I got the mini bike up on the lift, the welding table, and I moved it around a couple of times because I was going to go this way, and then I realized I can't really hook on with the strap over here because I got this power strip, so I went around this way. But I think you got a better view from there anyways with the bike this way. But I got the ski lane here, and it's kind of funny because it's almost the length of this bike. I was going to say it's really long, but it's just a normal size Snowcat ski, but the bike is a mini bike, so. I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to have to disassemble this because I'm going to have to modify it to cut it down because it's the length of the bike. And so I think I'm going to probably cut it about here-ish, and then move the bracket forward so that you can see where it kind of lines up with the forks. That's not going to be that high, but you know, maybe notch out the bracket, slide it forward. Something, I'm not sure. I'll just have to do it as I go. So let's get this thing torn apart and start modifying. So the ski is now disassembled. I got the main bracket off and the runner. That's what I'm going to call it at least. It was a bit harder than I thought originally, or just more time consuming. One thing I didn't realize is the plate here was also riveted into the ski, so I had to drill those out and get the rivets out. And then the runner, all these bolts were very, very rusty. They're very hard to get off of there. I got 3 out of the 4 off. This one did snap, but luckily it's the one that's back here anyways, which is going to be cut off. So if I can reuse this, how I modify this, that should be a non-issue. So yeah, we can now go ahead and kind of eyeball this about the length we want and get her chopped down. So I'm gonna get this. I'm gonna get to some cutting. There, she's kind of rough cut down for now. A lot of sawing. I tried to use the grinder at first just to think it would be faster. Just didn't know how to treat plastic. But it was melting the plastic and throwing it in the air like spider webs. Like the whole garage was filled with them. And I figured that's probably not the best to be breathing. So got the hacksaw out and did it by hand. And yeah, but got her cut down. And now you can see kind of roll it under the tire here. It'll sit about like that. If that sits straight. And then one thing I was looking at that's nice is, let me grab the bracket. The bracket here, if I shift it forward, I can use these two bolt holes still with the runner and everything. And then I just need to cut off about that much. I might need to trim some of these down too when I see how that fits, but for now I'm going to go ahead and hack off the one end and then start fiddling with it and seeing what else we need to grind down. This plastic is a pain in the butt to cut. It's all solid. I was thinking it was going to be hollow or something, but it's not. Because I had to notch both sides so that I'd have room for my bolt to run through there, so my pivot point. But I think the last thing I got to do before I can bolt this all back together is this part of the bracket is hitting these ribs. So I'm just going to grind them off real quick and then we can bolt this thing back together. Alright, so I got the little grooves, it's still pretty warm, ground off. You can see it's nice and smooth. And now should, dang, it's hot still. Yeah, so now it sits flat, lines up with two of the holes, so I'll be able to put this mammer jammer back in there. So let's go ahead and get this ski back together. Alright, skis back together. I did end up having to cut the stud off the runner here because it would just been sticking up right where the pivot point's going to be. And then I also had to grind this down because this tip didn't want to go in with the, while the threaded, or the studs go in at the same time. So I just ground it down and made it easier around myself and should be good to go, at least for the mini bike. So yeah, we will go ahead next. I'm kind of just mocking it up right now and see what it looks like. So no, a lot of snow bikes, you got the forks come down and then where the front ski attaches, they have like a kind of a back hoop, the bracket kind of swoops back. So I'm actually going to do a little research tonight and see exactly how I want to do this front end. But that's it, I'm going to call it for the evening because it's late and I'm tired. And then I'll get back to this weekend and hopefully the snow's still here. Finally get snow, and then it's actually going to warm up and be around freezing, if not higher. So hopefully I can get this done fast enough. Well, I'm back out here for another night, and I went ahead and since we had the ski all modified up and ready to go, took the front end off and put the old triple tree that had the forks busted off of it. And but before that, I did take some measurements so I know about how long my down tubes are going to be. And then today after work, I also went and got some hardware so I can get this all put together. And then yesterday, I had an idea to use this. This is just a shock off an old Chinese scooter that a buddy gave me. I tore apart, to putting it on here just to give me some kind of suspension a little bit if it works out how I'm thinking it will. And because right now the bike has 0 and it can be a bit rough to ride, but maybe this will help. I don't know if it'll give us much dampening, but hey, anything's better than nothing, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and get my down tubes here cut, and then we kind of figure out how far apart we want them, and then get the paint ground off this guy and get him tacked on. Well, here's my forks. As you can tell, I don't have this bar tacked in yet just because I believe I'm going to use that as my upper shock for this upper shock mount, excuse me. And so I've got it in there, it's in place before I put it on this on the triple tree. And then I'll actually want to get the bottom part done, see where this needs to go, and then tack it in place. So let's get this welded onto here, and then I should be able to bolt this on. Well, here is the front forks all tack welded in, and again, like I said, this one's not tacked in just because I'm not sure exactly where it's going to go yet. And then I ended up doing this down here. You've got my pivot point, or kind of like the old axle, if you will. What I ended up doing is taking just a 1-inch section of the tubing and took a piece of scrap plate I had and used my hole saw and cut a hole out. And sorry, you can't really see it right now, but I welded it in there, so there's actually, it's kind of like a washer. But yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and pull this off and get this all welded up the rest of the way, and then we can move on to the ski portion of it. Well, here's the front end. The forks are all welded together, ground down. Don't be too harsh on my welds. I am still learning. But it's on there. It's not going anywhere. And then I got the ski there. So now I'm going to start working on, I got the one bar cut for here. I'm going to cut one for here and then start working about putting, or connecting them. So yeah, it's quite a bit smaller. This is 1 inch. The tubing I got for here and here is only 1/2 inch. So it's going to look a little dinky, but I think it should still be strong enough. At least I hope. Guess we're going to find out. Well, there you have it. The ski's mounted and being held up by the bike. You can see the little arm I made here. Just had the 2 bars that went across and then 3 down bars, or I don't know what you want to call them. And then on the back side here, I put this plate right here so that my shock mount can mount to it. And then here's the shock I showed you earlier. I wish it had this eyelet style mount on both ends, but unfortunately it doesn't. So it has this, and it was a threaded hole and a through hole, so I had just drilled them both out to through holes. And then because of the spacing there, I got my 2 mounts. They're just bolted together, so it's held. But it's the 2 mounts, and then I made a little spacer inside that I'm going to weld in here. And then I put the bolt through to hold it. And then I can mount it to the shock, and then mount it to here. And then I got my other tabs here for the upper mount, and they'll just go on this bar, wherever it ends up sitting good. Let's go ahead and get this little tab welded together so I can get the bottom mount done, then the top, and then I can hopefully ride this thing. Ta-da! All welded, put together. Yeah. Either that all right. All right, so the last thing I'll have to do tonight is get the handlebars back on. Right now they're off. And then when I get that put back together, I can take this thing for a test drive. It'll have to be tomorrow though, because it's late in the evening tonight, and a bunch of the snow did melt like on the roads and stuff, so I'd drive through my yard, but it's only a tiny yard. So I'll take this thing somewhere tomorrow and we can go rip around. Well, I got the mini bike off the table and immediately noticed something that made me sad. I didn't really test this shock, and it sucks. I put the bike down, I sit on it, and it immediately just bottoms out. So I don't think it's going to work. Luckily, I do have another shock. It's about 1.5 times longer, so it may work. I may have to redo some tab work up here or something, but I'm gonna get that one pulled off and put this one on and see. Hopefully it'll work. Well, the Chinese scooter shock is not going to work. It's just too long. To have an upper mount, it'd have to be up here almost hitting the frame. So you can see they're quite a bit, actually it's almost double the length. It's quite a bit bigger. But I remembered that I have Brandon's stock engine out of his Ruckus that still had the shock on it. So it's a bit longer and hopefully the dampening's better. And I think that one should just bolt right on. So we get that one on there and hopefully it's better. So Brandon's Ruckus came to the rescue. His old motor, shock, does work. I'll have to take it off the table and see how we're looking for dampening because I'm not a big fan of the angles here, but hey, like I said earlier, anything's better than nothing. I was hoping for more, but that's a failure on my part, so let's get this off the table and see if she has some give. So I was thinking that this thing might be a little long and the angles might be not what I wanted. But actually sitting on this thing and like, let's actually sit on it. Actually got pretty good dampening. It doesn't bottom out. I'm sure if I hit something big it probably would, but yeah, I'm actually excited now. Oh, more excited. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and take this thing down to my in-laws today. And there's a big field next to their house which should have snow in it still. And we're going to go test her out. The snow is so thick and dense, the bike's standing up by itself. Oh, that's it. So I'm back from the maiden voyage of this thing, and it was fun, but the snow is just not good quality right now. It was 40 degrees today, so it's just been melting, and so it's really thick and wet and heavy. And so when I got into like fresh powdery snow, the tire would just spin out and I'd barely go anywhere. But when I was at my in-laws' house in the driveway with the packed snow, it actually got around decent. It still was slipping quite a bit in the back, but that's something I'll have to deal with later. I was mainly testing the ski, and that worked really well. Even the suspension worked really well, and so I'm very happy with it. So I think overall, it's a win. It works good. And the only thing I have left to do is tear it back apart and paint it. I don't want it to rust. So, yeah, I don't know if I'll get to really do much more of the snow part of this bike for now, because who knows if we'll get any more snow that's even worth trying to ride in. If not, then I'll put the other front end back on it and then save this for next winter, or maybe before next winter, so I can be getting it done in time for the snow, hopefully. But so that's going to go ahead and wrap this episode up. Thanks for watching. One thing I'm curious on is, like, I'm trying to decide on what to work on next. Like, what's going to be the next main project. I got Sparky here. I got the side-by-side. I got the cross cart. I got the power wheels go-kart thing I'm going to be building. So, like I said, I can't really decide which one I want to start on. So if you guys have a preference, go ahead and leave me a comment below. And, you know, it might help steer me into go in a certain direction. But yeah, and yeah, if you guys are liking this, go ahead and hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And thanks a lot. See you guys next time.